What's good, everybody? Tuesday night AMA, we are back. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can officially say we're on to 2023, man. We are on to 2023. We are done with 2022. All we get to do is sit back and be fans now and watch playoffs. I know there's some fantasy football going on in the playoffs, right? Adam, you ever do any of those fantasy playoffs only?
Yeah, I have done them. They're kind of interesting. I like them when I'm doing well. Let's put it like that, you
know? Don't we all, man? Don't
we all?
It's kind of like redraft, man. I like redraft when I'm winning.
Right.
When you're 5-11, you fucking hate redraft. I think it's god awful. What a stupid format. Who would ever play this shit?
Why do you guys do this, you know?
Y'all are wild. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Tuesday AMA. Let's go. We got people in the building. Dr. B. Harris. I love what he's doing, the energy he's bringing too, right? What the hell is an IDP? I ask myself the same thing all the time. I thought this would be a 23 rookie or startup ADP show. Listen, Dr. B. Harris, it can be whatever you want. It's an AMA. Ask us what the hell you want to talk about, and we can make that happen. But I'm doing well, Mike. I'm ready to go.
Listen, you and I kind of got into we got into C2C and IDP in the same kind of league. We joined a league commissioned by Baylor. Kind of did both. We got our asses kicked, both sides. Both sides, the college side and the NFL side, which has IDP on it. We also faded IDP until like the 20th round, which was a horrible fucking decision. But when Zach got together and was like, hey, you know, I kind of want to make a league for patrons to do IDP to kind of get their feet wet. I was like, well, we can't just half-ass it, Zach. So this kind of became our brainchild, right? A lot of discussion back and forth in the DMs, and he kind of gave me full control, and I bounced some ideas off of him, and we talked about it. And I said, one of the things I want to do is really juice up IDP. Let's make IDP sexy. Let's make IDP valuable. And Adam, the scoring going into this league is off the fucking hook. I mean, it is a deep one. I think we're starting 12 on offense, 13 on defense.
We got 25 starters, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy season.
I wanted IDP to be sexy for people to get into it, right? To really enjoy it. And it is when you think about it, when a sack is worth the same as a touchdown, right? You think about when you own a Dynasty player and you're watching them on Sunday and they score a touchdown, how excited you get. Like, fuck yeah, that's my guy. He just scored a touchdown. Well, you're going to have the same kind of reaction when Aiden Hutchinson breaks in the backfield and takes down the quarterback. You're like, fuck yeah, 6 points, nailed it.
Right.
And when he's got that 3-sack game, it's going to be ridiculous. So, I want to say the scoring is balanced, but it's balanced on the account of being fucking crazy. So those top defensive linemen are scoring just as much as the elite of the elite quarterbacks on average throughout the league. So definitely something that we worked out. Of course, it's got to be best ball. Ain't nobody got time to start 25 fucking people, man, make decisions. I can't do that shit. I cannot do that shit. So we got the league full, kind of traditional $50 buy-in. 2 years up front, Dynasty League. Let's go, man. We're going to have all the good shit coming out, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to this one here. I'll put the board up here in a second. Mike, what are your thoughts before I put the board up? Like, what are your thoughts at the moment?
On the league?
Yeah.
I feel like the only one on one side of a strategy, which is good. I hate when I do strategies and like 2 or other 3 people follow me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely like to be different. I'm big into that. Zigging when other people are zagging, and you and I always have been. So I'm definitely out on a limb here, right? I've only drafted one offensive player through 15 fucking rounds. So yeah,
me and you were going the opposite way, man, on that. I saw that, and I mean that's kind of what I wanted to do, but man, you leaned into it so hard. It's like I keep seeing offensive players I feel like I had to take, but we went opposite there, man.
Well, Koopa made it easy for me. For those of you who aren't in the league know, we did a random draw on where you pick, 3rd round reversal, the whole works. And I got the 106, and Koopa was bitching that he never gets the random. He never gets a top 6 pick. And I said, you know what, boy? Just trade me all your draft picks. I'll trade you all my draft picks, and we'll just essentially swap spots. Like, we'll take care of it. So
that was freaking hilarious. I can't believe y'all did that. Y'all wild.
He traded up to the 106 slot, everything, all 66 fucking rounds in the trade, and I traded back to the 111, all 66 times. So there it is, man. Big swap for us. So
let's go ahead and put it up, man.
I mean, once that happened, Adam, like I had to I had to. Like at the 106, you still got the quarterbacks. There was a couple of defensive linemen that I wanted, and honestly, if I was picking at the 106, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this strategy, right? It just doesn't feel right. At the 111, though, like I'm willing to fuck around and find out, right? I'm already behind the 8 ball. Let's go. Let's try something different. So
Yeah.
Definitely interested. I think we got a lot of good stuff playing out. We got some people really loading up on draft picks, so it's going to be hard to tell with the kickers and linebackers being the same color, but there's a lot of kickers in here that are placeholders for rookie draft picks. So
yeah,
be interesting to see what happens. And we're going to have a deep rookie draft too. I mean, the startup is 66 rounds, but the rookie draft is going to be 7 rounds, Adam, just because we have so many defensive players, right?
The defensive side of the ball, yeah. And the defensive side of the ball, I think, is where I think people are – if you're playing a bunch of IDPs, you might understand it more, like Zach might know, but – I think a lot of these seconds and thirds are going to be a little devalued until people realize how much the defensive players push people down the board.
Oh, some of these fourths and fifths are going to be valuable as hell, man.
Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I just mean that, like, I think fourths will be valuable too. That's like going to be probably third round types and regular. But I'm just saying, I think mid second is going to possibly have guys that are in the first round based on the format we're playing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at it, so we'll just kick it off. If you look at it from the first 5 picks, nothing looks awry, right? Nothing looks different than probably any other startup you're going to do that's Superflex, right?
Yep.
You get all the quarterbacks: Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Herbert, Burrow. Whether or not you want to put some of these other guys in that category is kind of irrelevant. But the first 5 picks are probably going to be fucking quarterbacks in just about any startup you do.
Right.
And then Cooper throws a curveball, right? Max Crosby. And if you don't know anything about these scoring settings, I think Max Crosby was the second highest score or third highest score total in the league.
He was definitely top 3. I'll pull it up on the other page over here.
It was ridiculous. So these defensive linemen, he had a fantastic year as far as fantasy is concerned.
Yeah.
And then the next pick, Michael Parsons, which just was a kick in the balls. Like I really thought at the 111, even with Max Crosby going.
You thought you'd get him at 111? Oh, I wouldn't.
I thought I was getting him at 111, bro.
Okay.
So kicking the balls. Like I figured somebody would have jumped on Bosa and Crosby because those are the 2 highest scoring D linemen. Parsons was down there a little bit in scoring wise and in warp data, which Koopa was kind enough to run an entire spreadsheet and give us 401 players ranked on warp for this last year based on these settings.
Real quick, not to interrupt you because I want you to keep going, but
you're good, buddy.
So I'll give you the scoring. This is all last year, right? So this is points per game too. This isn't raw numbers. So points per game, Jalen Hurts was 36.6, Patrick Mahomes 35.1. Third was actually Nick Bosa, Mike, at 34.9. Then you had Josh Allen at 34.5, Max Crosby at 5 overall, 33.2. So,
yep, it's extremely high on those guys. So, D linemen who get a lot of sacks, and linebackers, IDP-wise, score a shit ton. Some of the defensive backs score a lot. Like they're probably in the 26s. I think was the top, which is like Petrie and Derwin James. But the difference between some of these other positions is D-line definitely isn't as deep. Linebacker, the elite young linebackers aren't as deep as, like, say, DB, where, like, 20-point scores at DB seem to go on for fucking ever.
Right.
Like, they're just all over the place. So positional scarcity does come into play a little bit. But Max Crosby, Michael Parsons, Justin Jefferson, first wide receiver off the board at 108. Like, that's kind of fitting startups.
So if you
I
took
don't know
out,
if that's the route I'd go.
Yeah, I mean, so Mike, if you take the reason I want to talk about this is if you take out Crosby and Parsons, right? If you say this is not IDP,
a normal startup,
106 for everyone watching. So, and I mean, I guess Mike, is that fair? Is that fair? Is it fair? Not saying you would do it. Is it fair given market?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, keep trade cut's pretty high on him.
Keep trade cut has him at 3.
If you listen to us, though, like on a normal startup, quarterback is such a scarce thing. Even Scott and Eric, when they were doing their startup mock this last Saturday on America's Game, right? You're talking about Jefferson and Chase for those guys those guys love wide receivers, right? Those guys absolutely adore wide receivers. They're still in a mock draft. Like, they're not taking them until the back part of the first round.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, there's almost a scenario where if you pick 112, you could theoretically double tap Chase and Jefferson. It's just because you need so many of these fucking quarterbacks, right? And
No question.
Bijan's going to get pushed up and keep getting pushed up. And when he's in here, like Adam, I don't think there's not a scenario where he's doesn't end up as like a first round startup pick, here in a couple months.
Who, Bijan?
Yeah, like it's coming, man.
I think the reason he probably still will, like I could see it not happening in every league just because of running back, but I'll tell you why I think it will happen in the majority, Mike, is because the quarterback landscape is so bad. I think that when you get to the T-Law range, Fields range, people might be willing to forego those types there, even though they've played really well and have blossomed a lot. I could see someone being enamored with the guy that's this huge draft prospect we've been talking about for years and hasn't had the ups and downs of a Lawrence or a Fields or Tua with the concussion, or Dak, who's been playing poorly lately.
Yeah,
Deshaun, who hasn't come out firing on all cylinders early. So I think that's where I'm with you. I think he could go in the first round still in startups, which is crazy given the fact that we just shit on running back all season, right?
Yes. I don't think it's insane to go like 106. I just feel like maybe a little bit farther back for a lot of people, just because you really want to lock up these quarterbacks. Like you're gonna tell yourselves a lot of stories about Kyler Murray and Tua and Dak, you know what I mean, and Deshaun Watson, who you already mentioned.
Sure.
Like you're gonna tell yourself a lot of stories about them where it's like, man, if I pass on these dudes, the dudes that come after them, woof. Like it just doesn't feel good, and you'll talk yourself into it more times than not. Like I can guarantee it. And you're going to have a lot of scenarios in these startups too where you may think that you're going to pass, but like say you're picking at the 109, right? And you're passing on Lawrence, or you're passing on Kyler, or whoever, right? You're passing on Tua, Fields, Dak, for whatever fucking reason, Adam. You're going to have a lot of scenarios where you're counting fucking picks too. Like, is there a chance one of these guys who picked Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Herbert, like, are they going to trade back up into the first round or the early part of the second before I even get a fucking chance to take this quarterback that I'm passing on, hoping one comes back to me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be a lot of drafts where, the guy at the 108, the 109, if they take Jefferson, if they take Chase, they take Bijan, I could see a lot of people trading up in front of them, and you thought you were going to get at least one top 12 quarterback, and you're going to walk away with zero. Absolute zero.
Yes, sir. Real quick, Mike, I want to get not to go off topic here because I want to talk about the draft still here, but we have a question here. We got AMA, right? I have a question. Would you trade Dalvin Cook for the 108? It is a 14-team league, one quarterback. I think so.
I mean, he hasn't been good.
I think it's only going to trend down all off season. Next year, I think at the startup time, like of the season, you're probably having a conversation if you keep 108 player. Like, it could be close, but I think because of the nature of Dynasty today, I think I would do that.
I'd just take the liquidity and move on, right?
I'm with you. Yep.
Somebody will tell themselves a story about the 108, no matter who it is, that they like him more, and you probably get more than a Dalvin Cook back for it if you want to trade it in a few months.
Let me tell you why, too, I would do this. Because I think in 2 months this trade probably won't be there. And let me say, let me see if I can find where is. So here you go, Ellis, right? So J. Ellis, this is IDPs included. So I don't know exactly how many, but you can see right in between Mike and myself at 1206. That's Dalvin Cook.
Yikes!
I just think the nature of the position, the way it's going, Dalvin Cook's injury history, how he didn't smash. I'm doing this. I'm taking it, Mike. I know there's a lot of quarterbacks that beef up the 23 class, but I think there's enough running backs and wide receivers here to make me go ahead and take the pivot.
I mean, he's going after Akers, Rashad White, right before Miles Sanders, Tyler Algier, and Aaron Jones. Like, not a great group of guys to be associated with.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I'll take the 108, even on one QB.
Yeah.
Roll it out.
Yeah, go ahead. I would do that, JLS. I am going to do that. All right. T-Rock's in here with all kind of emojis, sexually type emojis. ATM went Mahomes, Smith, and Wilson. You're damn right. Speaking of which, I don't want to get too far ahead or too far off topic here, Mike, but he's just taking Roquan to trade him to me inevitably on this team offense over here. There you go. See, we'll make the whole swap here pretty soon.
We're gonna make a fucking CeeDee Lamb Rokon swap at some point, I think.
I like it. And I'll tell you what. I tell you what is probably coming. Is the discussion right now of who's the wide receiver one of the 22 class, with Garrett Wilson at 311. And what was crazy is I passed on him twice, and so did the next receiver. So we got Garrett Wilson. Let me ask you just real quick though, on a serious note. Now that I got my little fun in,
Jab.
Mike, order of receivers, because I think receivers are a big push here. Justin Jefferson 1, Jamar Chase 2.
No question.
Diggs at 3, I think, is obviously not the correct play, but it's the stack that made him do that.
Yes.
So I'm not going to criticize it too much, but yeah, Diggs at 3. Then you have CeeDee Lamb at 4, AJ Brown at 5, Waddle at 6, Tyreek at 7, Amon-Ra at 8, Garrett Wilson 9, T. Higgins 10, Metcalf 11. Your boy Chris Olave round out the top 12. Thoughts on the whole 12 and the order of which they went?
I think that's the 12, man. That's the 12 you go into the season with. Now, I will say this, after 1 and 2, and I will say probably 3 with CeeDee Lamb, maybe 4 with A.J. Brown. You want to throw him into that 3-4 conversation?
Right.
After that, Adam, I mean, we talked about this a little bit ago. I just don't see a lot of difference between the rest of the dudes. You know what I mean? Like from Diggs, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Higgins, Metcalf, Olave. Like, pick your flavor, man. Pick your flavor.
Yep, I'm with you. I think to me it's a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, tier break. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, tier break. I think there's probably a tier break in there before the 12, but I personally don't have it that way. I think the way values are seen could be that way. But, to me, depending on what my direction is, if I'm young, if I want to go crusty, all those combinations of the next guys all are fine for me.
And then you get to the next couple of guys, right? Like London and Smitty. Like you're starting to have conversations about how highly they should be valued, but I like where they went. Like, I think it's fine. You throw out a lot of these IDPs. I mean, you're talking all these receivers in a normal draft probably go in the first 4 rounds pretty easily.
Right.
So those are your first 4-round wide receivers. I'm comfortable with any of them. Like, I like them all. I like them all, Adam. Some of them you have a little bit of question, like how much more are you getting out of Tyreek? Like, for how long? How many years can you reasonably project? Same for Stephon Diggs. But you start putting some of these guys together with your stacks, like you get Josh Allen to land Diggs, even though it might have been a reach. Like, I love that from Marlon. I love it. Like, yes, you should have taken A.J. Brown or CeeDee Lamb before, but not when you have Josh Allen. In a best ball, you're like, fuck it. I will go for the stack. It's close enough for me. Waddle, Tyreek, if you make the bet on Tua, like to get them in the 3rd round, to come back with either one of those guys and lock up that stack is nice. I love it, man. I love where these wide receivers are going, and I think these are the group of guys that you want to walk out of the draft in a startup with one. And I think that is the biggest difference for you and I heading into startups in 2023 versus last year, right? We're talking shit about the wide receivers.
Right.
You'll never catch us taking one in the top 5 rounds. It's so deep. I think this group, like in the top 4 rounds, like I want to walk out of all my drafts with at least one of these dudes, and it'd be great if I get 2.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way I could really debate or argue that. So then switching gears here, Mike, because I think that's kind of everything he already touched on. So when you look at the running back position, Mike, I mean, this was eye-opening to me, and maybe it's because IDP's in here, right? But Breece Hall at 307, okay? So there's some name value retention there. Obviously, the 101, Mike, which is, what was that taken at 209?
Still, even if you take some of these IDPs out, remember the last startup we did?
Yeah.
I took the 101, and where did I take it? The mid part of the 2nd round.
Right.
You take the IDPs that went out before, where does that 101 go? The mid part of the 2nd round.
Right.
It's kind of crazy, ain't it? It feels low. It feels low, and I think
that's what I'm kind of getting at, though, is that you got So I think Bijan, because of Bijan and the 101, like I think even with IDPs included here, that's probably appropriate. I think, like you said, he's going to end up going higher. Breece Hall, but Mike, I mean, you're looking at after that, right? Now, whether Jahmyr Gibbs goes before Taylor or not is too hard. It's too hard to say at this moment.
Yeah.
But Mike, I mean, 407 JT.
Yeah.
Wow. You
in a
talk
normal
about value
startup,
loss, right?
in a normal startup, you're maybe pushing back into the third round.
You're early 4, late 3.
And listen, the scoring settings too in this league favor running backs over wide receivers, Adam. Like they do.
There's points.
It's a points per carry league.
Mm-hmm.
Like it favors running backs over wide receivers.
Yep.
Wide receivers kind of are in that like 20-ish range, and you got guys like Josh Jacobs last year scoring, over 30 points per game, right? So just absolutely dunking on whoever wide receiver one was, right? Even Cooper Kupp's pace. It's all about the running backs as far as points go. But people didn't draft him like that. Me included. Neither did you. It's
no.
Like, nah, we're good, man. Like I think 2022 burned a lot of people so much. The only one that gives you hope to kind of bring back some of that is Bijan.
What about Brees?
The tough part about Brees, man, he started phenomenally. And if he would have finished out the entire year, yes, I'm 100% with you. But, I mean, how many times do we have to do the same thing? Saquon was a generational talent, and he was phenomenal. And then he tears his ACL, and you and I jumped on the train too soon. Like, oh, he's going to be phenomenal, last year. And what happened? He had some moments, and he was starting to get there, and then he just kind of got hurt and then never really did anything the rest of the season. It always seems like it takes that full year back for some of these players off ACL. Like look at Godwin, look at Michael Gallup. They start slow and it takes some time. So to make that bet on Brees as the quote unquote first running back off the board, even though we know the 101 technically will probably be the first running back off the board, it's risky as hell.
Yeah,
it's risky as hell. And you have so much time, man. Like I don't want to buy into him now at this price. Even in the third round, so if you move it up for the IDP, I mean, late second, like, do you want to pay that in a normal startup for Brees Hall coming off an ACL?
No,
I'm good, man.
No.
I'm good. I'll go wide receiver, something a little safer, and just kind of figure it out from there. And just make the bet that whoever takes Brees Hall with that, like, they're going to have to diamond hand the shit out of him for the next 10 months. Like, you got to diamond hand the shit out of him, not get worried once. The first bad report that his recovery isn't going, or he might start on the pup, or he might do this or that, and just ride that out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let me ask you this then too, because I'm looking at this, so let's talk a little bit of the IDPs. Not get too crazy.
Let's talk all about them because that's all my team is.
All right, we can talk all about them, but let me ask you: first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Biggest value defensive player, who do you got? It doesn't have, it could be the first one, it could be the last one, it could be any of them. I'm just asking you, value based on pick, who do you like the most? First,
Mr. Shy Guy getting Bosa. Bosa's a fucking stud.
Bosa.
This isn't anything to do about anything, Adam, but I don't like Nick Bosa as a player. Like I haven't for a while. Just the whole Iowa game
I remember
thing.
We talked about it before.
I just don't like him as a person, but I acknowledge that he's a fantastic fucking player and what he does on the field and how he performs. He's phenomenal, and he's young as shit,
right?
And almost impossible to block. So you got probably the best ID player. I know Max Crosby had a fantastic year as well, and Micah Parsons has had good moments, but like fantasy production hasn't been there yet. If we're just looking at fantasy points, Nick Bosa has it all: elite production and age, youth, great system, great defense. Like he does it all. To get him at the 109 this is a guy. I mean, in these scoring settings, Adam really is in consideration at the 101, 102. Let's not get crazy about it, but that's where he should be.
I would say after. I think he should be 103. Like I don't know if you want to disagree, that's fine. I think that Allen and Mahomes' staying power is probably longer. I think his Nick Bosa could be great for a long time, but I think they probably score similar points. But I think that there's a scenario where Mahomes and Allen play longer, which is why I would lean them. But I'm with you. He's like in conversation with the elite players in this setting. Like he's young. He's at a position that's hard to fill. And he's a difference maker just as much as those guys are. So I couldn't even fight you if you wanted to put him there. I just wouldn't do it personally.
Because the website sucks, man. I got to look it up here and look at his player card. But I guarantee he had multiple weeks over 50 points in this format.
Oh, dude, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt what he's going to score for another couple years. I don't.
Just how much he did, yeah. So he's 25, so he had weeks 59 points, 54 points, 26, 35, 43, 37, 25, 63, 13, 30, 64, 21, 20. Like we think about some of these quarterbacks, like on their good weeks. So if we think about Tom Brady, I think he was right around 60 points that the week 17 with him and Mike Evans, like massive game in this format.
Right.
And that was a generational like kind of game. Like everyone remembers it from normal fantasy. And Nick Bosa did that like 3 times this year in this format with these scoring, which is crazy, which is absolutely fucking insane. So this is also just a little bit like kind of how I formed my strat, Adam. I started looking at the scoring and it's best ball, right? We talk about consistency in spike weeks.
Yep.
Are D linemen highly consistent? No, there's very few of them that are like week in and week out. We'll give you 20 plus. But
Bosa's one.
Spike weeks. Yeah, Bosa's one of those guys.
He will give you the consistent, but his spike is like his spikes are higher sometimes than even Mahomes and Allen.
Yes, 100%. That's why I kind of started drafting a lot of these D linemen who could rush the passer and get a lot of sacks, is because their spike weeks are so ridiculous. I mean, some of these dudes are hitting 70s multiple times in a season. So when I look at it from a best ball standpoint, yes, my team won't be the most consistent built around defense, but goddamn,
when it fires, it fires.
You catch me on a week where 2 or 3 of these dudes have one of those 60, 70-point weeks, like good luck. I don't give a shit what's on my offense. I'll start Adam Troutman at tight end for all I give a fuck.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Bosa at 109 or Roquan at 211? Just a pure value thing.
Bosa.
Okay.
Bosa. The thing about linebackers is they do score a lot of points, Adam, a fair number. The D linemen are more spiky, bigger boom potential.
Well, there's truth to that, but also like just to give you an example, because I know we're doing this real quick, like Roquan, right? I mean, he had 56, 48, 47, 47. Like he's not far behind the spikes of him, but Mike, what I've seen is he had a lot more 30-point games too.
Yes. So that's the other part I was going to say. Linebackers. Traditional linebackers like the tackle monsters in IDP, at least for what people talk about, what they're highly valued in normal IDP leagues. In this one, not as spiky, not as big boom potential. They still have some of that, but they're more consistent floors, and their floors are a lot higher. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about, you didn't get a lot of 60s and 70s out of Roquan Smith, but you got a shit ton of 30s, right? Which is good, which is really good. So a higher floor, a lot more consistent. And again, like I don't want to make this all about my team, but when I was doing it, as you can see, I built it all early with pass rushers, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know some of these guys have dual eligibility, but pass rushers for the spike weeks. And here in the last couple of rounds, what I've been backfilling with is linebackers, like traditional linebackers, tackle machines, trying to get some of that consistency.
David Collins types, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of those dudes. And Zach's favorite, Bears legend already, Jack Sanborn.
Jack Sanborn, yeah. Shaquille Leonard types. I think you took him too, right?
Yeah, that one's a gamble. That one's just a boom or bust pick, right? But at that point in the draft, because he's got back problems, man.
Like for sure.
He was probably one of the best linebackers in the league.
But there's risk this year. You get into 11, there's risk for a lot of people. So
yeah, for sure.
Let me say, because I do want to get to questions. Let's just real quickly. So sober money, interesting. I've heard, scared money, not scared money, sober money. I like that. Would you trade Jerry Jeudy for a 205 or trade Jeudy for Goddard? It's tight end premium, PPR, in the middle of a rebuild.
Jeudy for Goddard, no question about that.
That would be the one I would do. I wouldn't do the 205. No. And on the rebuild side, like, that's the only reason I would maybe pause on the Goddard thing. I think I'll still do it, but on a rebuild, depends how long your rebuild is out. I think Goddard's still got a few more years, so you could just hold Goddard if you had to.
I mean, this really comes down to Goddard or the 205, and it doesn't matter if I'm in a rebuild contender. I don't give a shit.
Oh,
Goddard's worth more than
if
205.
You're trading Jeudy away, it should be for Goddard. Let me just say that first and foremost. And if not, if you don't think you can flip, I don't know what the tight end scenario is in your league. Like Goddard's one of these tight ends, Mike. We can talk about it where he's good. Like he's not going to be difference making. Like he'll help you keep pace with the great ones. But then he also doesn't have that flippability factor, it seems like, in standard one tight end leagues. So
yeah,
I'm with Goddard if I'm going to do anything. Otherwise, hold Judy. I'm not a Judy guy, though. Mike and I both will admit to you we're not Judy guys, which is why we'll tell you to take Goddard and be done with it.
There it is.
All right. So we're money. There it is. That's a sober thought before I get too much drinking in me. So, all right. We had a couple more questions. Okay. What are we doing if you have the 101? I have it in one league on a mid-pack team. Talk to me about options at draft night. He's considering moving it or take Bijan. Well, you probably want to move it. I mean, mid-pack team, if it's lineup or best ball is a big deal. Like Mike and I talk about recently, like especially in lineup, you kind of want to embrace the variance. Like if you're a mid-pack team, I'm okay trying to see what happens, and I would take Bijan in that scenario. I think you hold it with diamond hands until the price continues to build, and I think as the hype really hits peak, I think you'll be surprised what you can trade that pick for. Mike, what I've seen a lot in like Heisman and our Discord and stuff, like what should I trade Bijan for today? Here's my thing. I think whatever you can get someone to press the button on for Bijan today is going to go up, and that's why I don't want to do it today.
Mm-hmm. There'll be some people that do some stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Well, outside of a scenario where it's like, oh yeah, that's fucking a smash. Take it today. But I think a lot of times it's like offers that are good and maybe even better for you. But like I think the price will go up unless you're talking a ridiculous smash.
I mean, if I've seen some people where it's like, I got offered 3 firsts for Bijan. Should I take it? Fuck yes, and just move on with your life. You'll be fine. Trust me. Right? It's a running back. Adam, there's not a lot of players worth 3 firsts, period. And even Scott and Eric will tell you, like, you get 3 firsts for Chase or Jefferson, they're gone. Like, they'll trade them. Mm-hmm. They'll give a shit.
Liquid first.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not talking like the 111, the 112, and, the 110.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Throw some 24s in there, right? I mean, like the 107 and 2 first. You can fucking have Bijan. Enjoy.
I'm with you. Real quick before we finish with other questions, I'm gonna switch to overlay. Any final thoughts on this startup here?
No, just very interesting. I seem to be the only one leaning into defense. I pretty much almost got all my starters filled out already.
I'm very interested to see how this shakes out. Starting 25 people, I think the variance week to week for 25 starters is outrageous.
So just trying to gobble up value. I see there's a lot of the tough thing to me has been how to value these players. Now, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, Adam, but like some of these players I'm taking, like where I take Josh Allen, not Bills Josh Allen, but for you non-IDPers out there, Josh Allen of the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. Very good young outside linebacker / defensive end pass rusher. Right, very good.
You took him after. By the way, I thought Chase Young was a good pick too.
Looking at it going like, do I want fucking Mac Jones or David Njoku who don't score near the points this guy does or give me the spike weeks, or this defensive player? And I know it's tough to wrap your mind around about the defensive player. But, like, I can't take these fucking Javonte Williams. Like, I can't take these fucking guys over a young stud pass rusher in this format. So,
I mean, it's fair. I think I would say this. I'm with you with everyone except for I think Mac is actually closer than you're probably giving it credit for, just because, like, I'm not saying you get Allen, but I think you can get another guy that plays that spot in your format where we know in best ball – you want your Superflex spot filled by a quarterback. I think that's the big difference for me.
No, you're going to want your defensive lineman spot filled by a guy who's going to get, more than 2 sacks a year. You know what I mean?
Right. But you also don't want your Superflex spot filled by a running back or a wide receiver.
At this point, though, like with the scoring settings, I don't give a shit. I don't like.
I mean, I'm not saying that you have to give a shit. I'm making the counter argument. Like,
no,
why?
Understandable. I think if you look at it too, like when you finally start drafting defensive guys, Like go out there and see like what's left for pass rushers that you feel really good about,
Mm-hmm.
and look and see what they scored this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some guys who might have hit 30.
Well, there's all.
But
Keep in mind.
most weeks they're giving you like 4.
Keep in mind when you look at mine. Like I got three kickers in there that.
Yeah,
I don't think people are realizing like those could all be defensive players if depending on how the draft goes too.
for sure. Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of people coming around, and there's going to be more defensive guys drafted in the first round.
Oh, there better be. Well, I'll be taking them in the first round if someone else won't.
You know, and there's some really good ones to take, right? Like Will Anderson is phenomenal. You get some Jalen Carter love.
If Will Anderson falls to me at one of my 2 picks, I can't remember which ones I have. It's like mid or early, like midish first. He'll be coming off the board.
Right next, yeah, we pick like right next to each other, just like fucking always too.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So if
I pick 4 and 5, you pick 6 and 7. But
Mike, if you lean into the defense a little more, I'll take the offense, and vice versa.
I love it though, but I think, like I said, I don't know how exactly it's going to play out. This is just a gut feel. I do think overall for the draft, like defense kind of got shat on a little bit. There's some offensive guys in here where I'm just like, nah, I'm good, man. Like there's not even a question about it when it's not so much leaning into the defense, but at some points I'm just like, if I look at the scoring and I look like what they're doing and positional scarcity of like guys left, guys I trust, young guys also, because the Dynasty, I'm thinking about multiple years out, who's going to lose value, fucking retire, suck ass, at age 32 and never play again.
Mm-hmm.
I think the defensive guys got pushed down a little bit too much when everything was telling you should have drafted them earlier. And you should have placed more value on them, which will be interesting to see if it actually shakes out. So
yeah,
if I'm going to do something against the grain, you best believe I'm going to do something against the grain. And I don't know if it's going to work out or not, Adam.
Well,
but I feel confident in it, but we're going to fucking find out.
You can't see the future, but it's not ever a bad thing, in my opinion, unless you're getting like way out there in values to try to differentiate your team from what's happening. So I like it. We'll see. I have my hesitancies on believing that as much as you talk about how much the defenses will matter, and I agree with you. By the way, I've looked at the scoring. I've seen it. I thought about multiple times taking defenses too. Where like I'll be interested to see how you backfill the offense. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there'll be some trades, the McNutted, crusty trades coming through that will make it happen.
I think too, like Zach and I talked about it a little bit offline about it, right? Just back and forth in DMs. I think for me, it made a lot of sense because what do I know? Like, what do we always talk about in fantasy offense?
You'll find
right?
them, yeah.
And we play a lot of best ball. I'm always out there grinding waiver wires and trying to find the next guy. Like, well, this guy had opportunity or whatever. Like, I'll pick him up, and you don't think he's ever going to be anything. I mean, you did it to me in a fucking semifinal game, right? Like, oh, I think Trent Irwin's still got an opportunity. What's he do? Comes out and puts up some points, right? Makes your lineup.
I was gonna cut him, and I'm like, you know what, man? Don't do that. He probably won't do shit, but if he does, you're going to be like, why did you do that? So I just kept him.
It worked out, right? It worked out. But I will say this for you and I, like it's a lot easier for us to look through the dumpster of offense and find guys we think could be gems or have opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher for me when I don't know IDP and I don't know all these defensive players and I don't know where the gems are and I can't identify them as well, to do it the other way, right? To build a team of offense and then dig through the scrap heap of what's left on defense and hope that I'm right. That's what we did in the C2C league that I was talking about with Baylor, where we passed on them.
Right.
And all they did was just take names that I used to play with on Madden, or you watch the game on Sunday and they might make one play. You know what I mean? But they don't actually score fantasy fucking points. And we got our damn teeth kicked in because of that, right?
Yeah.
We're like, damn, our offense is doing all right, but why are we losing by 150 points? And then you see this guy's got like 4 sacks in a game, and you're like, fuck. Fuck. We couldn't find that guy. Most of our IDPs are dog shit or on injured reserve.
The one thing I'm interested in this league, especially, Mike, because they're starting so many, is like I think I will, especially because I don't know as much of the defense, like you'll see me making a lot more moves where I'm not going to hold on to a Hunter Long type. Like those defensive guys, you can kick rocks pretty quick. Like I think that's one thing that I at least foresee happening, where my turnover in the waiver wire will be a lot higher And I'll be a lot more willing to cut a guy that I haven't hyped up for months to everybody. This is the 4th round stud you got to find in your league, right?
Yeah.
And then it's 2 years later, he's not seeing the field, and I want to make it be a thing, and it's just not. So, like, I'm just interested to see how it goes all the way around. I love my draft so far, but I think there's a lot of people that love their draft so far. So we're gonna find out a lot. As the year goes on.
I don't think any 12 out of the 12 people in here, they're gonna be like, I hate my fucking team. Right? Nobody T-rocked it and hated it after like round 2.
I mean,
come on, man. I can't go a whole AMA without taking a shot at T-Rock. Come on.
I know. I'm actually looking for him in the chat. And I'm like, where the fuck is T-Rock at? Because I want to dunk on T-Rock. But let's get to Jay's question here. Would you sell Akers now or wait until a later date? I mean, what are you receiving?
Yeah.
It's all about cost to me with Akers. Like it is. I drafted him again. I took him at 212. Or I'm sorry, 212. 12-2. I better not have taken him at 212. I thought at that point, Mike. Now there was some defensive guys I considered there. I was looking at Mosley, honestly. I was looking at some guys, but the way I watched him play, man, I think Cam Akers is going to be and it probably will be something that bites me in the ass again, but it's going to be a player analysis thing that probably goes a little against what our typical process would be based on how I've seen him play down the stretch again. Mm-hmm. It's a bet I'm willing to make in that 12th round here. And I think to me, Mike, like in a blanket statement, I think in the early seconds this year, like I can understand if you want to re-roll because you can get a pretty good prospect at running back and just get younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am okay holding there if you want to.
Okay. So 204. Selling Cam, keeping him.
Let me say this. If my team is something that I'm not trying to full rebuild, I'd probably keep him.
Okay. 203.
I think the same thing is going to go all the way until like 201. I'm probably going to have a hard time.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I would say for me, not as much Cam Akers love. Like I like what he did at him.
Yeah.
I'm just anything in that early part of the second, like I'm good.
So at 204, you're out?
205, 204. Like that's about the range for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'll cash out.
And that's regardless of build, right?
Anything after that, man, if you're offering me like the 207, the 208, like I'll probably look on it on a case by case. Like what does my league like to do? Who do they generally overvalue and undervalue? Do I think I can draft better than these guys with that pick? You know, maybe. You start getting the later part of the second round, like nah. I mean, we talk about this all the time. That always seems to be my comfort zone is that late second where that is where I'm comfortable making my bets and laying down my money and going like, you think you know more than me that you want to sell this guy for a late second, right? Like I'm willing to make that bet if I like him enough. I'm good. Like good luck hitting that pick and making it good. So
let me say I'm answering that question as if I'm Jay here now, just like in a one blanket. If I'm in his shoes. Now, if you're in my shoes and I'm overexposed, Mike, I'll be taking some 204s and 203s strictly out of a portfolio adjustment type thing because I have like 30-something% Cam Akers. I have too much. I think, Mike, like I'm looking right now, keep trade cut, which is pretty wild, Mike, because I think keep trade cut still probably isn't high enough on Akers, and we just went through this on our last episode of 4D.
Yeah,
they have him ahead of an early 23 second.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, man.
Get the fuck out of here!
I'm telling you right now.
Damn.
It is by 2 player spots, so like 87th overall in keep trade cuts rankings and Superflex.
So about the same tier.
Yeah,
about the same tier.
So for me, like it's really a bet of like I say, if I'm on a contender and I'm in his spot here, like not thinking portfolio, not any of that. Like come the season next year. Cam Akers and what I believe his role will be next year versus a good prospect running back, I'll lean Akers. That's the reason I answer that question. I would say, though, if you want to take these picks, generically, I wouldn't fight you on value. And if you are someone that is actively trading, I think you're going to have a chance to trade that early second for more.
That's fair. I think I'm comfortable just re-rolling. And
It's
I get
probably a
out of them.
smarter play to re-roll, frankly.
I get it though, man. It's not a crazy bet. The fact that Keep Trade Cut has him ahead of an early 23 second is fucking flabbergasting to me. They hated Cam Akers forever. He was
Mike,
dead.
We talked about this on 40, but it's up even higher now. 85 spots.
Damn, that's crazy.
Mike,
Very shocking.
When he was not playing and didn't get traded, I'm gonna guess he was like a third page guy. He's in the top 100 now. You know,
You had to scroll for a while.
a long time. He was
Like
he was
you were
dust.
buying him for fucking mid to late thirds.
He was
maybe
dust.
fourths.
People just wanted to get rid of him, right? He's a zero, and there's no future. How do you value rookie picks in a league that doesn't trade picks very often? Leagues where if you trade picks, you're more than likely not moving it in the future and having to draft that pick. Mike, I'll tell you this. I don't want to spoil too much because for 4D, I have something I really want to get into. And I think it's on this point. So I don't want to go too deep diving right now, Dr. B. Harrison. I know you're a Savage member and an active listener, so I don't want to spoil too much. But, Mike, I want to get your thoughts on this.
I would say I value him a little bit less than I would normal. The part that doesn't change for me is the fact that the pick doesn't get injured. The pick doesn't have risk. Like I don't have to worry about it getting suspended, right? Going down, tearing an Achilles in an off-season workout. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about any of that. So it's still a kind of a safe asset to be in. But you do have to acknowledge the fact that a lot of the value increase that we get at him doesn't occur in leagues that just don't fucking trade. Like if they're not active, they don't move them.
Mm-hmm.
What value increase are you getting? Right? Like if nobody's trading, doesn't even matter if you make a great pick and that guy gets off-season training camp hype. No one gives a shit. They're just not trading. So what are you going to do with it? Nothing. You just sit on it. I will say this. I'd still value rookie picks fairly highly, even for me. Like I'm in some of these leagues where there's not a lot of trades that go down, not a lot of activity. And I don't know if it's me just being conceited, like kind of an asshole about it. But I generally think I do a better job in rookie drafts of drafting players. Like I don't hit them all, but I hit a pretty high clip. Like I feel like I can hit a lot of them on the head. I'll have some misses here, but it's not just because of me, but it's a lot of the people I follow, right? Like I don't listen to Ray 365 days out of the year to not be good at identifying rookie talent, man. That's all this guy does talk about. And he's got fucking a massive resume of hits. So surround yourself with smart people and listen to smart people. You're going to draft better than the average person. So even in those leagues, like I'm good thinking a lot of those rookie drafts, Adam, even if there's no trading, like that's the cheapest you're going to get some of these players, right? That's the biggest discount you're ever going to get, right? You take a Bijan with one single pick, even if it is the 101, one single pick, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever wanted Bijan, if he hits again, right, he goes on, has a Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley type rookie year, right, where he just smashes like RB2, RB3, or better, maybe RB1 overall. Does he cost one single rookie pick ever again? Fuck no.
Mike, I don't
three of them.
Mike, I don't think Bijan will ever cost a rookie pick singular first, unless there's a number attached to it in 24, right?
Yeah.
Outside of an injury.
Mm-hmm.
For probably 3 seasons.
Or you think about this, like if you identified Jalen Hurts and that was your guy a couple years ago, right?
Sure.
You get him in the second round, you get him in the third round, and now this is a dude who's a top 3 startup pick. So this is why even when leagues aren't that active, I don't mind having a lot of draft capital, and I just like throwing as many darts as I can at bets that I feel is good. Am I going to hit them all? No. Like sometimes I'll take a James Cook at 107. And I really should have been taking Chris Olave, or I should have been taking George Pickens, or I should have been taking, whatever. Mm-hmm. You'll have some misses, but for every one of those, right, I think back to the 2021, taking Amon-Ra St. Brown in the pre-NFL draft, took him at the mid part of the second round, then he gets 4th round draft capital, is basically dead. And then those post-NFL drafts, I'm taking him in the 3rd round, the 4th round. And now you're talking about a guy who's in conversation as a top 5, top 6, top 7 dynasty wide receiver, which is, Could I get him any fucking cheaper than at that time? No. Like, I can't trade a mid-second now to get Amon-Ra. I probably couldn't trade 3 mid-seconds to get Amon-Ra. People tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of thoughts on this, Dr. B. Harris. Tune in Friday to 40 Chess. Because let me tell you, let me just tell you guys and everyone that's watching. I see we got 20 concurrent viewers. Anyone watching this after post, I've done a lot of thinking since, well, we had an actual chance to think, Mike. It feels like during the season, the thinking was all like spontaneous at the moment thinking.
It's all reaction, right?
Right.
It doesn't feel like a lot of thinking and contemplating.
Mike, I still, if there's someone out there that has more than me, I'll give them the nod, the cap, right? Like if you have more 23 capital than I do for the amount of leagues you're in, like I'll just tip my cap to you. Good for you. But I have a shit ton of it.
It's gonna be hard when you have one league that literally has all 12.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I don't think someone does. So what I'm getting at is if you do, I'm just gonna tip my cap. Like good for you. You leaned into the 23 class. As someone that is heavily invested in it, right? I've been thinking a lot about different scenarios because, you know, I do have teams that have none. And it's like, do I trade in? Do I not trade in? I feel like my window of trading in is probably not there, but it also depends, right? And then you kind of think of if I have a couple picks, I have my one pick. If I have 3 or 4, if I have 5 or 6, if I have all 12, if I have the whole damn chest, like what am I doing? And I got a lot of different thoughts on this, and I've thought pretty deeply on it. And Mike, unless you had something for 4D, that's what we're going to be talking about is different scenarios and how to think about the 23 class. Because I think everybody wants to talk about this right now. It's a hot topic.
We do have to get our winners edition in, man. We do. We took the L's with the losers edition, so we do have to get the. Listen, we can do a 2-parter. It's fine. It's fine. We can push one back. Doesn't matter. But we will get that in. I promise. That'll be a great discussion too, because I do have a lot of thoughts on what I want to do. Because I'm on the opposite side. You know, I have a shit ton of teams, Adam. You know, probably.
Maybe we take the. You know what we'll do? We'll take the high road, Mike. We'll let people have our losers one extra week. We'll give a medium, and then we'll come back with the winner, so it doesn't feel like we had to come right back with the winners. Like you can dine on the losers a little bit. Because I think we actually had some really good winners. We had a YouTube comment today, Mike.
On the Brandon
Ayuk video, which was made me smile, awesome, man. Because it was funny because, one, he didn't start off that hot, right? And then Trey Lance got hurt, and that was one of those like, oh, you took an L. Nah, man. Brandon Ayuk's out here balling. Let's go.
We took a W on that one, man.
That was a great video. A lot of our comments came true to fruition. All right, so Patty Mills. What would you guys do, or what do you guys like with Chuba Hubbard, Akers, Brian Robinson, etc.? Well, I don't have much B-Rob. I would love to sell B-Rob based on what I've seen him get in carries. We talked about this on the trade show, Mike, with Nate. Like B-Rob, Riverboat looks like Riverboat's going to stay, right or wrong. We'll see if that ends up holding up, but. He's a guy that's never going to get north of 40-50% snap share. He's always going to be a 2-down grinder. If I can sell him on what I've seen this year, especially down the stretch, I think I'm cashing out. Like his value gain from here doesn't go anywhere.
I will sell. I mean, we talked about Akers. I'll sell Akers for like the 205 or better. B-Rob, I think I'll move him for like the 210, maybe 209, kind of in that range. Or better.
I think you can still get a mid-second for him, but if someone's like, if it's push come to shove, here's 208, I'll take it.
Okay. And Chuba, like, probably mid-third.
I'll be honest, man.
I'm not a Chuba guy.
If somebody comes in with me at a mid-third, I'll take that. Mike, but my only thing is I think for what Chuba's name value is and what probably is coming my way, like, I don't have much of him, but I bet you I'm holding just because, like, I don't think people are coming to you with thirds anymore. Like, as the draft continues to build hype, like, I don't see people saying, hey, here's my third, man. You know, all these guys we're starting to fiend for in the third. Here, I want Chuba right now today.
I mean, there's not a lot of wide receivers, too, in that range that I give a fuck about outside of, like, maybe best ball.
Right.
That I feel good about, you know, putting a stake on there either. And if Chuba's something, I think I'm kind of with you, man. If I can get the draft capital, I don't see a lot of player pivots. He feels more like a guy you throw into a deal to kind of like sweeten it, to push it over the finish line, to get a piece that you actually give a shit about.
Right. I think I would like if I can get a third. If I can find someone that is willing to buy into the fact that Chuba's playing right now, if I can cash out for a third today, I would do that easy. B-Rob.
How about this? You use Chuba, a guy like Chuba or B-Rob, as like, I'll give you the 206 and B-Rob to get to maybe the 112 or the 201 or something like that, like a move up in the draft position.
Say that again. I was listening, but I'm trying to visualize it.
You use them as sweeteners, right? Like, I'll give you Chuba and the 206 to move up to the 112.
Oh my goodness! If I can sweeten with Chuba, yes, absolutely yes. B-Rob especially too, I would do that for. If I can get into the top 12, the only thing I would say is I might. If you do it now, I think that's fine. I think what we have to understand is, personally for me, Mike, and we'll see what happens with draft capital, with combine stuff. A lot of information's to come out, but like I see a scenario, Mike, where like 112 and 204 to me and you, when we have all the information in front of us, isn't that different, because it's a deep running back class.
That's fair. What about like other tier jumps? Like, I'll give you Chuba in the 111 to move up to the 105.
Oh my God. That one in particular, yes. If I can get out of either one, I would give you Chuba, B-Rob, and 111 to go up to the top 5 or 6 picks.
So some of my like favorite draft spots, just where I'm sitting at now for the rookie draft, like I'd want to trade into those, right? So I think picking at the 102 and the 103 is fabulous. Like, I love picking in those spots. Like right now, the way the kind of draft class is shaking out, because you got the Bijan, and then you're getting like the first or second quarterback off the board, whichever one, maybe both. Like at either one of those spots, maybe you're getting your first choice at pick 103. Like somebody takes Gibbs, and then you get to pick first quarterback. I
love that.
The other one I like is like the 106 and the 107. So you have multiple options. If people don't take quarterbacks, all 4 of them early.
The wide receivers get into play now. Yeah.
Maybe you're getting another first round quarterback, right? Maybe you're getting that guy who went 15th. You're getting an Anthony Richardson at the 106, 107. That's pretty fucking dope.
I don't think there's any wrong answer in those tiers. I'm with you.
And if not at the 106, 107, like you're getting one of your first choices of wide receivers. So whether you're Quentin Johnson or Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kayshon Boutte, I don't give a shit who the fuck it is.
Right.
You're getting first pick at it on your guys. So
I'm 1,000% with you.
I think I would use these guys, Chuba and B-Rob especially. Like Akers, I feel like has a little bit more value. I don't think it's much, but I would use Chuba and B-Rob to try to juice another pick that I have, right? If I got the 110, yeah, it'll be a fine pick, but you're playing second fiddle. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get to the 106, 107, and I want to do it now before people realize it, try to move up. Or if I'm already at the 106, 107, maybe I can get up to the 103, right? And get into that next sweet spot. And if all it costs me is a Chuba or B-Rob throw in, I'm good. You take it. Enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, the difference there, though, Mike, is like, if B-Rob gets a value bump, there's not much production coming from B-Rob's value bump, and there's not much value coming from his value bump, right?
Yes.
Chuba, same thing. Like Cam Akers, I know you're going to tell me that I'm the Cam Akers guy and the bias guy, but of those 3 people, like if it actually hits right for Cam Akers, he's in a totally different conversation than those 2, which is why, like right now today, Mike, when I go to Keep Trade Cut, that's why I'm saying B-Rob, and I'm screaming B-Rob, because the difference between Cam Akers and B-Rob on here, I guarantee you, is not much. It's actually 1 pick. B-Rob's more valuable. Like,
yeah,
RB26 B-Rob or RB27 Cam Akers, not fucking close.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Wyatt says, what guys in Dynasty are you looking to acquire?
Good question. The list is kind of small right now, man. Like, picks first, but we talk about liquidity, man, and I'm in a full believer of it. Like, there's a lot of dudes that I would sell right now just to get draft picks. Like Scott talking about it on Destination Dynasty live stream. You guys need to check that out. He went live on Sunday, Adam. That was fucking
his
cool
pod live was awesome.
That was cool as shit.
Me and you were throwing the super chat in there, showing our love for the guy. Listen, man, he's a great mind. Dynasty Trades in 5, also check that out. But his podcast on Sunday was awesome live.
I will say there's not a lot, but there's a few guys at the top, and I kind of talked about them a little bit in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields is still one that I want to go get at him. Still. Where he's going, he's probably going towards the mid to back part of the
Mike,
first round.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to just insert one piece here, especially him, because I think there's going to be this noise about 101. The fact that they got 101, I think, gives even a bigger window for it. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the window's open, but I think that's a guy who you can look back in a year, like a year from now, if he stays with the Bears and they surround him with talent and they use their picks wisely at him, that you're like, this dude's in the conversation for top 3, top 4 quarterbacks in Dynasty because of that rushing. If he takes a step forward with his weapons, his passing efficiency, and keeps most of that rushing, or at least a fair chunk, right? It doesn't have to be all of it because we don't want to see him taking the fucking shots that he took this last year, but we've seen him in college with weapons be a dominant passer, right? What was the big concern about him in college? Like, fuck, he doesn't run enough. You don't see him ever run. Why? Because he was so good at throwing the football because he had great weapons to throw the football to. Then he gets to the NFL. He has fuck all for weapons. And what is he? He's a dynamic elite producer running the football. So if we kind of get back more to the middle on both of them, maybe the rushing comes down, but the weapons and the efficiency goes up in the passing. Like you're looking at Jalen Hurts level where we're talking about him in dynasty value in a year. And you're going to get him like kind of what you mentioned with the 101, the 108, the 109, the 110, the 111. Like, and people still kind of have a little bit of questions about it. That's still a dude that I want to kind of pay the piper for and make my bet on.
T-Rock's like, where am I? I got like 20 comments. My bad, T-Rock. There's so many. I hadn't gotten down to you yet. So my apologies. And that's the only thing I'll apologize for. So, yeah, I think Fields is a good one. But Fields also, I mean, he's quarterback 6 today right now, Mike, on Keep Trade Cut. So, obviously cost dependent. Man, I'm trying to think of some guys I still really want to acquire. I'll tell you one. I read, we just did the trade show with Nate Liss, and I read all his pieces he does over on his Patreon. So if you like Nate Liss, if you watched him prior, go check out his Patreon because there's some good nuggets in there. Mike, and he talked about a guy we have a lot of love for. So, like, this one is hard for me to say because I already have a decent amount. But damn it got me fired up. And I'm going to say it again. I still think Jahan Dotson's a guy I want to go acquire. Like, I really do. He's valued outside the top 30 on Keep Trade Cut. I think it's been a bad situation this year, man. And, like, I don't think they go into next year with a worse quarterback. It's at least even with where it's at now. And as much as Curtis Samuel's been nice, like, I think he's more of a gimmick receiver, and I don't know how long he's going to stay in Washington, where I think Jahan Dotson, what he's shown with the draft capital investment, has a chance to really flourish as he continues to grow.
Listen, I will still continue to acquire Zach Wilson at cost because it's nothing. Miles Sanders is another guy. Yes, it may not be with the Eagles, but Miles Sanders is still a good player, and he's going to have a job carrying the load, at least for next year. So that's another guy I'll throw in there. Brandon Ayuk, still criminally undervalued, in my opinion, for a lot of people. Amon-Ra and T. Higgins, another guy towards the top. I know people love T, but people still like dunk on him. Like they still think it's Jamar Chase and then T. Higgins, and not as much. Hey, listen, they're both really fucking good, man.
Okay. What would you want back if you're trading away Kelce, or would you keep him again for a run? Listen, we talked about this before, Jay Ellis, but I'll say it again strongly. Like, Travis Kelce to me is in die on my roster territory, unless the only caveat is if I am such a rebuild mode, like there's just no chance for variance, that I have to move him. Like, to me, he's a fucking hold until I die. But, Mike?
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to give it to you, but maybe they do. 2 firsts. Maybe.
But would you rather have 2 first? Let me ask you this. 2 back end first. Let's say it's a 112 and a good team's 24 first. Or Travis Kelce on a contender.
I don't want to build my contenders anymore in January though, so I'll take.
I agree, but I'm just saying. Let's say you don't have any tight ends on your team other than Kelce.
It's January.
I understand. I'm just saying. I want to phrase it this way. I'm not saying you can't answer it how you want to.
Okay.
So it's if you have like let's say your next tight end on your roster is Noah Fant. Still 2 firsts?
Yeah.
Okay. 112 and a late what looks like a late 24, even though that could definitely not be late 24.
Yeah.
What about 111, 112?
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm with you on the 24 and the 112. I don't think I'd do it for 111, 112. But I also don't know how realistic it is anyone's offering truly 2 firsts for Travis Kelce. It feels like one of these guys that's not going to ever get the value he should in the offseason. But
listen,
I'm with you on that point too, though.
I've seen wild shit happen too. Like if you're telling me right now, Adam, like I can get out at 2 firsts, good. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could see a scenario where like the Chiefs go on win the Super Bowl this year, and Travis is like, "Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm riding off in the sunset. I got other shit I want to do. I've got a couple Super Bowls. I'm probably going down as the greatest tight end to ever play this fucking game. Like, see y'all. I've had enough."
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that one, but like he's one of these guys that I think positional scarcity and warp advantages. Now, he cooled a lot down the stretch. Like, let's admit that. And he wasn't the league winner.
Wasn't as great. Yeah,
he wasn't the league winner for you in the playoffs that got you there. But, man, when we talk about the landscape of that tight end position, Mike, he's still a guy 9 times out of 10 I'm just going to bank on holding. Unless Mike's probably right, though. If someone's actually coming to you with 2 liquid firsts, you got to start thinking because of the age.
I mean, if it's just I'll give you a first and a second, I'm with you, man. It's too hard for me to go like, he's almost worth more to me just to die on this fucking team.
I'm back on the clock. I turned off my fucking notifications on this thing.
People keeping you honest, man.
Good. Yeah. And Mike's trying to with Travis Kelce. Let me get another question so I can go make a pickup for everybody here. All right. So, damn. Let me scroll. Okay, here we go. Oh, Cody Smith. What's up, Cody? The Dynasty Draft Room. Go ahead, Mike. You can read it, and I'll make my pick here.
Does how poor the quarterback landscape currently is finally make, quotes, fixing you a quarterback room for the draft viable, or are we just going to get hurt again? I think it's viable, man. You look at how bad the quarterback landscape is after 12. I mean, we talk about Trey Lance. We had a little bit of discussion in the Patreon Discord about Trey Lance where it's – Adam, I think you and I still like him. We definitely haven't bought into this Brock Purdy bullshit. Like, I'm good. Like this
not long term, no. He's got to show me a lot in the playoffs for me to even think about it.
For sure. Like, I think Trey Lance still starts pretty easily. They're still going to give him the shot. But I do agree he's in that weird position where it's like, bro, if you don't do anything this year – or like he suffers another injury, it may be a wrap on him as far as being a locked-in starter. Like some other team may give him a shot at him and see what he has, but like your dynasty value is never going to come back from this, period. It's done. So he's in that weird spot where we like the talent, we like the upside. But after that, you're looking at Kirk Cousins, who's got some fucking issues. This is also why people are trying to knock Justin Jefferson because of Kirk Cousins. Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Kenny Pickett, like these dudes are all in the next tier, right? These dudes are all the next guys. Kenny Pickett's a guy that nobody wanted to touch for fucking how long? I mean, we had to bend over backwards to get people to draft him, and we're talking about him now as like QB 15. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
So if you've got multiple picks in 2023, I know I fucking hate relying on rookie quarterbacks, Adam. I don't want to build my team around it. But if I'm looking for the long-term future, like if Kenny Pickett's my floor and I'm looking at a guy who may be QB 15, QB 14, like just how bad they are, like where the fuck are these other QBs coming from that these rookies coming in aren't going to be valued this high for a year or two? Like wait until you get to 24 and we get like some really super elite talent with Caleb Williams and Drake May and, you know, if Quinn Ewers figures this shit out and becomes everything Matt Brunin has promised me. Like maybe those guys unseat him. Like I can see that scenario, but
where you at, Matt?
Like you can fix your quarterback room, I think, in the draft, or at least make it more stable value wise. So I think that's a viable option. I don't think you're going to get burned. If these quarterbacks go in the first round, like they're getting multiple years. That was our fighting point on Kenny Pickett, is like they give these guys time. They do. They give them a couple years at least.
Yeah.
Now, you got to be a rare scenario like Josh Rosen or like fucking Zach Wilson to just absolutely tank in value.
Hey, real quick.
But those are fine ones.
Real quick on Kenny Pickett, and I'll touch on this too. And we got to get 4D recorded. We're already in Mike, we're way over an hour, and it doesn't feel like it. That's how easy this goes now. That's why.
I mean, we're part of the people, man.
We are the people. We are the people. It's just funny though. Like it feels like yesterday. Like, oh man, what's Pittsburgh gonna do when they have this real early pick? Like, y'all realize Pittsburgh was a fucking ugly ass game field goal away from going to the playoffs, and Tomlin still was over 500.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett almost took him to the fucking playoffs. Think about that.
I'm not gonna victory lap Kenny Pickett because it's not victory lap worthy.
It's kind of like hitting on Kirk Cousins, bro.
But this is this is the scenario. Like, I think what's crazy is we were fighting before this question, which is like, if you think about it, all the bets that felt crusty, they all fucking failed. Every one of them failed this offseason or during the season. The only one that was like a middling success was Kirk Cousins. And even like what he has shown late probably doesn't feel the greatest, but he's way better than the other options. I mean, Stafford, nothing. Russell Wilson, horrible. Derek Carr, no one knows what's going to happen. I mean, you name it. Aaron Rodgers, like I took him in this draft, Mike, at 1402, and I'm getting clowned in the chat. You know, I had to tell people, listen, I drafted Aaron Rodgers the last time he retired too. You know.
He's retired. He's retired back-to-back years with you on.
Mike, you remember how much I got crushed that year? You know, yes. Jordan Love's taking over.
Yep, it's over, man. Why are you taking Aaron Rodgers? He's done.
I said it in the chat. I'll eventually get it wrong, but I don't think I'm getting around just yet. You know, I think there is gonna. Here's what I would say about this. For the quarterbacks that get the draft capital, it is important to grab them. Not necessarily even to just fix your quarterback room, but because of that landscape, I think is going to cause everybody to force up at quarterback. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that really force their way trying to pay up to get into the next tier of guys that isn't the top 12. And owning them early to flip is going to be monumental, I think. So, are you going to be hurt again? Like, if you take some of these quarterbacks to really – like stay the long haul, you could get hurt, but like I think it's a very viable play right now.
I mean, you think about just the situation. I think the Trey Lance being almost de facto QB 13 for everybody across the board.
Yeah,
and like feeling locked into that spot right now. And this is a guy we have seen fucking nothing and heading into year 3. So that doesn't tell you about the quarterback situation and the projection. What do you think they're going to do with these fresh rookies? You know, when Bryce Young is a top 5 pick and CJ Stroud's a top 5 pick and Will Levis goes to Carolina, you know, at 7 or whatever the fuck it is. And Anthony Richardson goes in the teens or wherever the hell he ends up going in the first round. Like, people are going to be all over these dudes. Like, I just feel safe about them. Like, I want them. I want them on my team. Like, I will pay startup value just to have them on there because everything after them is fucking gross. So,
yep.
It's a viable strategy to fix your team. Now, will it fix your team in 1 year relying on rookie quarterbacks, you know, to win you a championship?
Doubtful.
Probably not.
Right.
Highly doubtful. But
you might be able to string it together as your Superflex if you have one of the top 12.
To right the ship a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll give you an opportunity to possibly trade up into that elite tier, which will actually help you.
Right. Correct. That's the main thing.
You know, I'm going to trade down to QB 13 or 14, wherever these guys end up in rankings from, like, you know, Lamar or Trevor Lawrence or Fields or whoever. Gives you that opportunity to at least do it too. So gives you another avenue to fix your quarterback room. So I like it.
Yep. All right. I would not do this.
No, I would not either.
So this is assuming Superflex. Assuming Superflex.
106, 107 is kind of my cutoff. I would do it for 106, 107, Adam, for sure.
I would do it for 106.
That's fair. Yep.
I also think, Mike, let me just say this. Because I think the reason I say 106, if I'm not getting Gibbs or Bijan or a quarterback, I know there's probably going to be a receiver at 8 you really like. But, you're 13 and – Mike, this is 13 and 14.
Yep. It could be it could be Butte. It could be Downs.
Two right? For one, I want those. I want the 2 for 1.
I mean, we don't know how this wide receiver is going to actually shake out. I mean, we'll know a lot more in a few months, but where it is right now, I'm thinking all the guys that could possibly be there at 201, 202.
Yeah.
I'm good with them compared to the 108. I don't see a gaping difference. I'm with you, though. 106, 107 for me, I see a massive difference right now. Now, this could change. This is probably going to change. But if we're talking right now, I'm more comfortable making the bet on 106, like you said.
Yeah, if this is 106, I think I would be okay with the up tier given the format. If it's lineup, I'll be honest, man, 201, 202, those are going to be picks I'm trying to acquire before the hype gets to a full-fledged hype, especially if I can do it for a singular piece.
Yep.
So, all right, so we got Jaden Sharp. 12-team Superflex tiered PPR. Currently have Lawrence and Watson. Gotta love having 2 of the top 12. I have 9 first. Good God. How many of these picks would you actually want to make versus trading away? Jaden, I told Mike we're going to hold off on the winners and losers. You probably weren't in here. 4D chess this week, which is on Friday, is going to be, I think, talking a lot about the 23 class, different scenarios, and I think a lot of this question will be answered there. So I would say tune into that for a massive breakdown. But for me, when I look at this generically right now today, I don't want to give too much away. I personally don't think even here that you want to trade them away. You don't want to make all 9 if you don't have to.
Mm-mm.
But I'm not moving them today just to move them. I think you got a lot of time for them to the price to build up. And I'll be honest, man, if you really hold 9, unless you're in a league that's very inactive, there's no way you aren't getting your phone buzzed about a lot of these picks as the draft starts hyping up.
So me looking at it like an asshole, I would try to trade away the 101. I would try to do that if I could get a good return, especially a lot of 24 capital. I want to make picks at 4, 5, and 7. And this is me being the asshole where it's if you let me have these quarterbacks, I will take fucking 3 of them.
Well, even at 7, though, you'll get your pick of receiver at worst,
Right. So I'm looking I'll take 4, 5, 7. I'll take the quarterbacks, kiss my ass. Now I got Lawrence, Watson, and 3 guys who are probably going to rank in the early teens in quarterback value. Trade away the 8. I want to dump the 8. You go ahead. You make the first choice on wide receiver. I'll take the second choice at 9, and then 10 and 11 just kind of juice plays, hopefully moving back, to the early second, getting something in 24.
Now, here's what I can say, Jaden. It's impossible for me to paint the picture of how your league mates are going to come to you for these picks. But let me just give you my mindset on the clock with this, okay? So 101, if I have it, if someone comes up and pays it, I'd want to move it. If not, I'm taking Bijan, right? 104, I'm getting one of the quarterbacks, or I'm getting Gibbs. If Gibbs gets a smash landing spot and you want to go ahead and double down on running back, go ahead. Here's where I'm not moving on the clock 105 or 107 just yet. Because if I can get Gibbs and Bijan and 2 quarterbacks at 105, 107, I'm doing it. Right? Because this is on the clock madness type shit, Mike. Now, 107 comes around and the 4 quarterbacks are gone and Gibbs is gone and Bijan's gone. If somebody's in there, because here's the thing, wide receiver push is real. All of a sudden, if someone wants to come pay me for the top wide receiver, if you can pick it out, come on, here we go. Come holler at me. We'll make a deal right now, real good. Because I'll still have 8 and 9 and 10. I still have all these picks to make wide receivers with. So, I think you're in a great spot. I think that personally, Jaden, like I'm sitting for a minute. You keep tuning back into these Tuesday AMAs. We'll give you the information as it comes. But I think with the leverage you've built and you have 2 top 12 quarterbacks, like you don't have to force. Here's the beauty. You don't have to force a quarterback pick. So when you're on the clock at 105, 104, and the quarterbacks are getting thin, somebody can come pay up for that pick, and you don't have to take the quarterback. So I want to hold these. I want to hold their feet to the fire as long as I can until there's no nerves left.
I'm with you. I do that too.
I think, you know what? It's time to go. We got the sex bot in here letting us know we have been in here too long and there's too many of y'all tapped in. We appreciate everybody tapped in. Mike, any final thoughts on AMA, on the IDP league that you have taken? What do we got? Did you take one offensive player besides obviously draft picks? Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Look at what McNutt has become, right? This is the guy that's like, nah, fuck IDP. I'm not doing it. I'm going to build a mastermind league, and I'm going to hoard every defensive player.
Right. I said juice scoring to my own benefit and then backdoor everybody at the 111. That's how I roll. No, it's exciting, man. I'm kind of interested in getting more IDP. I mean, you did a nice pod with Jordan Rains, so it'll be interesting to hook up with him. Yeah. Kind of get his thoughts on it.
Did you know he won the bash?
Oh, shit.
Jordan Rains split the bash. He was probably in a position to win, but amicably they split. So,
I mean, it is what it is, man. A lot of people had to split. And
he went to New York and, met up with the guy that he played against. And, I mean, I know from what they had, shares of BDGE or shares of ETH, he got a nice little pay up.
But just like everything I do in Dynasty, everything I do when I talk about here, like I take my cues from a lot of smarter people than I am and kind of meld it into my own thoughts. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how this works out and what some heavy hitters in the IDP world think about it. It's tough to do it when you just look at a board and you don't get all the scoring, right? And it's almost too much to list out. But how they rank against other people and just try to make the best decision. But kind of similar when we branch out to anything, right? We branched out into some more C2C this year and looking forward to doing another one, right? Kind of get your hooks in, something a little bit different. And it's almost relaxing too, right? It's almost relaxing. You feel like in a normal startup when we do some of these shit leagues, like the pressure's on, right? You guys sit here and talk about it all the time. Like you can't lose your own fucking leagues when this is all you do. But when you get to do some of this fun stuff like that, it's a little bit more relaxing to go out there and go like, fuck it, I'll give defense a try, right?
Yeah.
We're going to build an all defensive squad and see what happens.
We got Fizzle in here. Appreciate you, Fizzle. Yeah, tap it back, run it back. Twin Caliber, we're not going to get to this question today. Make sure you tap in next week. We'll get to your questions. But we appreciate everybody tapping in. We're going to go record 4D chess. Make sure you're tapped into that on Friday. We're not doing Sunday content anymore because the fantasy football season is over. But stay tuned closely. We got some big announcements coming. The Sauvage tier is going to be in for a treat this offseason. So if you're interested, patreon.com/South Harmon. $1 gets you in the door if you want to be a part of the trade show and stuff like that. But the Sauvage tier, the highest tier, we have $15 a month. There's going to be a lot of things tailored for that group. So very excited for that. Mike, any other thoughts?
Nope, just hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. We are so fucking close to 1,000. Nate List, big part of that. We had a massive jump having him off on Saturday. No surprise there. Nate's the best. Nate's the best. He is one of the fucking legends in the space. So having him on, no question about it. Our most viewed YouTube video ever. Just smashing records.
Yeah, but blowing numbers out the water.
We're almost to 1,000. I'm ready to do that giveaway. I want to add a few more things before we get there. So man, hurry up, get us to 1,000. I want to give away these fucking jerseys and whatever else I decide that I want to add to the giveaway.
Absolutely. Other than that, we'll see you back here same time, same place next week for Tuesday AMA. We're out of this thing. Peace.